Hey there, my name is Dr. Eileen McCabe-Moucher, and I am your professor this semester here at Widener University in Social Work 501, Human Behavior and the Social Environment 1. I've created this short video to help orient you to our online classroom. So here we are in our online classroom here within the Engage platform. And before we go ahead and dive into the material, I want to let you know that your success in this class is very important to me. So if at any point, if you have questions, if you feel like you're struggling, please feel free to reach out to me via email. I want you to feel supported in the course and feel like you're getting all of your questions answered. Our class is very rigorous and it goes by at a pretty quick pace. We're here together in our online course for the next 7 weeks. So for you to get the best start, I strongly encourage you to begin by carefully perusing all of these items here located underneath Getting Started. So the first thing that I recommend that you do is to carefully read the syllabus. It contains all of the readings that you'll need, the textbook information. It also has very helpful grading information there as well. The next thing that I recommend that you do is to make sure that you have a good understanding of our course schedule, when the work is due, and to also make sure that you have a good understanding of academic integrity. And you can do this by reading the plagiarism information here and being sure that you reach out to me if you have any questions with regard to academic integrity. Then I encourage that you take a peek underneath all of these little blue links here located under Communications and Community. Each week I'm going to be sending out an announcement along with a video that is my hope that you'll watch the video and have a really good idea of what you need to do in order to be successful in the course for that particular week. Also located here underneath the Communications and Community icon is your Student Lounge, which is a place where you can go to interact with your colleagues, with your fellow students. There's also the Ask the Instructor link where you're welcome to post any questions to me. However, I recommend that you email me directly. You'll often get a much more rapid response if you email me directly. And sometimes some of the questions that are posted within the Ask the Instructor section are better directed to me personally, specifically if you're going to be asking me questions about your personal grade or something about the nature of your assignment or your signed consent. Those type of questions are better off sent directly to me via email. I also recommend that you check out this Zoom link here as well as the MSW Student Resource Center. There's all kinds of awesome resources and support available for you there as well. So now let's shift gears and talk about the major projects and assignments that we're going to be having in our course over the next 7 weeks. Each week will be presented with discussion forum grading or discussion forum prompts that you're going to be answering. So for some of these prompts, you just need to write an original posting, but for many of these prompts, you need to be responding to the colleagues. So you want to make sure that you carefully read all of the instructions in the discussion board prompt so you understand if you're meeting all of the requirements. The second major assignments that you have are the concept quizzes. And there are 3 concept quizzes which are due Sunday of weeks 2, 3, and 4. So major other assignments here that we have for the class is the older adult interview, which needs to be completed before week 5. It's also required that you have an older adult interview signed written consent, which you can submit right here in the platform. So here is a PDF of the older adult interview consent form. Then for step 2, you're going to be completing an older adult annotated bibliography, and we'll be doing a wonderful exercise here in week 1 so you get a really good handle on what's expected in terms of this annotated bibliography. You get an opportunity to try it out and to get some feedback from me in terms of how you're doing and how you can improve for this assignment. So step 3 of the older adult assignment involves doing an oral video presentation. And this older adult video presentation is due Sunday of week 6. So there is right here in a PowerPoint document, there's a very helpful presentation template, which I encourage you to closely follow for this particular assignment. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go in and take a deeper dive into this older adult assignment so you get a better idea in terms of what you're going to be expected to do. So for step 1, which again you're going to complete before week 5, what you want to do is you want to select a client, past or present, or an acquaintance of at least 65 years of age. If this is an acquaintance, interview this person for approximately 45 minutes to 1 hour using the following questions as a guide to elicit information. So please make sure that you're adapting these questions to your individual style as well as that of your interviewee. I encourage you to be creative and to take every effort to preserve confidentiality. So you don't want to be using any names or any other clearly identifying information in your paper. So an important part of the project is assuring the adult that you're working with that you'll preserve his or her confidentiality. So it's best practice to record the interview, take notes during the interview, or to summarize an account of the interview as soon as you can after the interview is completed. So that way it's still fresh in your mind. So an important note here for any individual participating in the interview, you must obtain written informed consent. So you'll need to upload the signed written consent form, which I just pointed out a few moments ago in the Engage platform. So right here are some interview guidelines where you're going to be asking your interviewee to discuss in depth with you the developmental stages in their life. So you're going to be asking your interviewee, what were some important episodes and events that they recall from this stage? What was important about them? What issue were they working on? How did they feel about these particular stages of life? How did they feel in general? How did they feel about themselves, about others around them, about their environment? I encourage you to really think about this from an ecological perspective. I'm also going to ask you to question your interviewer with regard to what did they want the most during these stages? What were some difficult challenges and proud accomplishments of key phases? And what were external, internal resources that made it possible or impossible for them to achieve these goals? How did family, groups, culture, communities, and organizations help or hinder the person in fulfilling aspirations? What contributions has this person made to society in their own view? So after you've completed step 1, which means after you completed your interview, you're going to move right along to step 2, which is the older adult annotated bibliography, which is due Sunday, week 5 in the course. So this is worth 20% of your final grade. And using Erickson's psychosocial framework, you're going to choose one of the developmental stages that you discussed at length with your interviewee. So I'd like you to use Widener's Library Electronic Database to locate at least 4 scholarly, peer-reviewed journal articles related to the Ericksonian developmental stage and create an annotated bibliography of these articles. So you want to make sure that the articles that you find meet the following criteria. Number 1, that they come from a peer-reviewed journal that is related to social work. Number 2, that the article must be less than 10 years old. We want it to be timely and relevant. And that the article must be at least 10 pages in length. So right here is a very helpful older adult annotated bibliography rubric. So I encourage you to really carefully peruse this. It gives you really clear grading criteria for this step 2 assignment. So after you finish step number 2, going to move right along to step number 3, which is your older adult oral video presentation, which is due Sunday, week 6. So this particular assignment is worth 30% of your grade, and the purpose of this presentation is to integrate all that you've learned from this course and about human behavior so far and apply this knowledge to your client or your acquaintance. So you're going to be applying 2 theoretical perspectives to one life cycle stage of your interviewee's life. Information from your annotated bibliography should also be present throughout the presentation, and you're going to be using the PowerPoint presentation template that I've provided you to display your information, and you're also going to be using Screencast-O-Matic to record the oral component of your video presentation. So you want to make sure that you're really carefully reviewing these components as well as the guidelines and instructions. Each oral video presentation must be between 15 and 20 minutes long with a 20-minute maximum. So I really encourage that you watch this video for directions on how to record using this free Screencast-O-Matic tool. And please be sure to reach out to me if you have any questions after you've read all of this information here. I'm happy to help you with this step 3. So that briefly summarizes all of the major assignments that we're going to be working on together over the next 7 weeks. So now let's take a look at week 1 work, what we're going to be learning this week, which is all about the multi-dimensional frames here in social work practice. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is to look at all of the learning resources here. So you want to make sure that you carefully peruse our objectives and topics here. So it's really telling you the goals of this week's work. I'm going to go over all of the different topics that we'll explore together. So the next thing that you want to do is click on this second link, which is entitled Readings and Videos for Topic 1.1, the Multidimensional Foundation of Social Work. So this week, we're going to be covering the foundation of social work, person and environment perspective, trauma as well as trauma-informed practice, the strengths perspective, oppression and discrimination, and knowledge development. We're really going to take a deep dive into exploring ways of knowing, including science theory as well as social constructionism. So you want to make sure that you're doing all of our readings here. So in our Rogers text, you're going to be reading chapters 1, chapters 2, chapters 4, and chapters 5, paying close attention to the page numbers that are outlined here. The next thing that you're going to do is you're going to read the Council on Social Work Education Task Force 2012 article entitled Advanced Social Work Practice in Trauma. The next thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to watch these videos here that are included about trauma, as well as the foundations of lifelong health and trauma-informed care, as well as trauma-informed care in social work practice and the life and work of Jane Addams. So these are fantastic videos that are going to really give you a good solid foundation for these next 7 weeks that we'll spend together. So the next thing that you're going to want to do is to click the link titled Readings and Video for Topic 1.2, Person and Environment, the Social Context. So the first thing that you want to do is to carefully read all of the topics that we're going to go over this week. Then make sure that you're doing our textbook readings from the Rogers text. Then what you're going to do is we're going to be having these great readings here about food insecurity. Fantastic article entitled A Portrait in Hunger. You'll also read an article about food bans and aid, as well as the negative effects of poverty and food insecurity on child development. You also want to make sure that you are taking the time to watch all of these fantastic videos here. So last but not least is your final learning resource for week 1, this Foundations of Social Work PowerPoint. So after you carefully peruse, watch, and study all of these learning resources, you're going to come on down to the discussion board posting. So the very first posting is going to be our weekly icebreaker here. So what I'd like you to do is, in order to get to know one another better, I'd like you to record and upload a video introduction. So your introduction should be approximately 1 to 2 minutes long and should include the following. Why at this point in your life cycle phase have you decided to pursue a master's in social work? So please remember to speak slowly and clearly so that we can all understand you. And there's some instructions here on how to record using that free Screencast-O-Matic tool and upload it to YouTube. So after you do your icebreaker video, you want to come on down to our second week 1 discussion prompt, using frameworks in social work. So for your initial post prompt, what you'd like to do is to first read the Widener social work shared case, which you can access by clicking on this blue link here. So for your initial post, you want to complete both of the following parts. So number 1, from the readings, the PowerPoints, and all of the videos from this week 1 coursework, you want to describe the person and environment, biopsychosocial, and trauma-informed frameworks that are used in social work practice. So secondly, you want to discuss how these frameworks are useful in looking at working with Anita, Anthony, and Ashley from our shared case. So for this particular discussion board entry, you are encouraged, but you are not required to respond to any peers in the discussion forum. So your initial post is due on Thursday, and your work on the forums for the week will be graded as a part of the weekly discussion grade. So a sufficient post will be a minimum of 200 words and a maximum of 500 words. So try to be concise and make sure that you're using this discussion rubric as a guide to help you formulate your discussion board post. And for your third week 1 discussion board prompt, you're going to be submitting an annotated bibliography practice. So this activity and forum is going to help prepare you to write your older adult annotated bibliography, which is due on week 5. So you want to make sure that you're completing each of the following steps below. So for step 1, you want to access Widener's library electronic database to find an article related to any topic or issue of interest within human behavior. So don't overthink this one. Choose a topic that you are interested in, or maybe something you feel passionate about. This topic is completely up to you, and this article will only be used to complete this particular activity. So you want to make sure that the article that you choose meets the following criteria. Number 1, it should come from a peer-reviewed journal that is related to social work. Number 2, it must be less than 10 years old. And number 3, the article must be at least 10 pages in length. So for directions on how to access library's electronic database here at Widener, please watch this following video. It's an excellent tutorial that will really help you learn how to become more familiar with our library here at Widener. So for your annotated bibliography practice, you want to make sure that you're submitting your annotated bibliography on this page as well. So it allows you to run the assignment through VeriCite, which is a plagiarism detection software. So you want to make sure that you're checking your originality score after you submit your annotated bibliography to make sure that you're appropriately citing and paraphrasing the article. So for directions on checking your originality score, you want to make sure that you check out this great video here. So I look forward to working with you this term. I know I just gave you lots of information, but I look forward to having a great semester and journey here with you through our Social Work 501 course. I look forward to working with you this term. I know I just gave you lots of information, but I look forward to having a great semester and journey here with you through our Social Work 501 course.